to get high quality Age of Empires 2? Yeah, it does. Both in upload speed, both in quality of the equipment, so. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Game 5 between TheViper and Tatoh and Max and Villese. This is a best of 7 in the winner's bracket final. So I believe what happens here is whoever loses this will move down to the loser's bracket final to play the winner of a set which has not yet happened. It's really confusing the way this is set up, but they will have a second chance, Max and Villese, to get to the grand final if they move down to the loser. Like, assuming they lose this, they'll go down to the loser's bracket. If they win the loser's bracket, they can come back up to the grand final. I know it's confusing, but that's the way some tournaments work in Age of Empires 2. Max is playing as the Mayans in the teal. Then we have Villese in the orange. Villese is playing as the Malians. Viper's over here playing as the Malians, and then oh, that confused me. I was thinking Max has another TC. No, Tato's TC is here right next to where Viper docked. TC spots, pretty solid for players. Tato's isn't ideal. I mean, the lumber will be inefficient, that's for sure. But he will have a few sheep, and I assume he will scout to the south of him. And when he does that, he'll find more sheep and 2 boars, which is solid. Lots of gold surrounding him. Not that much stone. There's 5 gold piles around him. Okay, and the stone's a bit further as well as another boar. Excuse me, if he wants it. Viper's TC then to the north. I mean, he has a gold and berries and shorefish he can collect. The shorefish, when villagers are collecting them anyway, very strong. Or a few deer. It's weird that there's only 2 deer for Viper. Does he have any boars? Not really. I mean, this is just as close to Villese as it is to him. I guess you could make that journey. And then you could make the journey to the deer here as well. But it's not the best boar-wise for Viper. Villese, I already pointed out the boars to the north, which he scouted. He has the deer here as well. A stone, gold, berries, more deer, another 2 patch of deer. And I think he'll find these boars too, because his ally will tell them they're here. So, yeah, great scouting from Max. Max, he could take all 3 or he could share some with his ally. 3 boars here, stone, golds. He's Mayans again, so if he builds a castle, he'll be a real force to be reckoned with those plumed archers. Hey Jacob, what's up, man? So what do you think of the TC spots, guys? This area in between Viper and Villese will be important because there's a lot of stone there. And castles are so big on Nomad for map control. Wow, Tatoh, yeah, he's able to find some boars, I guess. He'll find these too. Lots of sheep, holy cow. I guess the space between Tatoh and Max won't be all that important because they both have resources close by and they're further apart. Tatoh and Villese, or sorry, Max and Villese are very close together as a team. So that could help or hurt them, depending on how aggressive the enemy team is. Like, if they need to defend from an attack, it might help them because they're close together. However, if the attack is too difficult to deal with, both of them could feel the heat from it. Part 2 of job interview at 10 a.m. today, T90. Awesome. Well, it's past 10 a.m. for me. So maybe you're on the West Coast or something. Regardless, if you made it to the second interview, just keep doing you. I think you'll be fine, man. Fill counts. Interesting. 11 for Viper and Tatoh, and it's 13-11. Max has a few more vills. That makes sense, though, because it's a Mayan start. You start with an extra vill. So you have an extra vill to collect resources, and you also have an extra villager to build that TC. What about the dock positions? Tato's dock is on this side. So it's close enough to Max's, which is by his TC here. You loop around and then you see Villese's dock, and then Viper's dock is yet again in a very safe position. I feel like he places the dock early enough where this is not a tactic. He just ends up getting lucky, but you see how far away this is from enemy docks. That's going to be huge, because safe fish is always important in Nomad. Hey, Muscle Confusion, what's up, man? Oh, Atri, thank you for gifting Nubis the sub. I saw Nubis say he loved me earlier, so I can get on board with that. Nubis, thanks for hanging out here, man. Enjoy the emotes. Muscle Confusion says, not much. I'm working. Don't tell my boss. Alright, I won't tell them. I promise. This is a great TC spot for me. I know it can be awkward for Golden Stone, but considering he had so many boars, he TC'd right on top of the deer, so the deer will continually come back. They're saying, eat me! Eat me! That's essentially what they're saying. This is good stuff for Max. I really want Max and Villese to get a win. I really do. I want this to go 3-2. I want to see Game 6 at least, because the next game will be fun to watch with the settings. I've just hit my my first wind of the stream. When I start streaming so early, I really struggle at times, and so it was kind of been a grind for the first 2 hours. But now I'm like getting excited and getting into it, and that's a problem if I want to go offline in an hour or two. Like, I'll tell you what I'm doing later. Have you guys heard of the game Fusion Frenzy? It's a classic Xbox game. I'm sure many of you have heard of it. So I bought it off eBay a few weeks ago, and I'm going over to my friend's house, and we're gonna play some Fusion Frenzy tonight. I can't wait. Drinking games with Fusion Frenzy. Oh yes, it'll be so much fun. So I have to have 2 quote unquote business meetings to talk about Age of Empires stuff. Yeah, I'm joining Team Secret. That's what's happening, Kappa. And I also have to work on some content, and then I have to still have time to go over there. So I want to stream longer today, but time only allows so much. 5th person to say I love T90 gets a sub gift from me. Here, hold on. How's that? Can you sub gift me? I beat everybody except Ducks. I get a sub now. That's how it works, right? I typed it in there myself. Alright. Villese. About to hit Feudal Age. Tatoh has already hit Feudal Age. As he's done so often, Tatoh is committing to water. And it's interesting because Villese's new dock is right next to where Tatoh's dock already is. Villese found out that was there the hard way. Villese has his fish to the north. Oh, they're not working. Did he misclick them? He misclicked them. He tried to click a fish, I'm sure of it, and he completely forgot about them. That sucks. He only has 2 working fish. Okay, he's realized. Whew! But it's 2 docks here. I guess Tatoh has 2 docks, which is further apart. Yeah, we need to focus on the fishing ship count. Viper has 15. 15 fish because of this OP dock location. This one's not too bad either, though he does need to be careful because he could be pressured on the right-hand side. But I think Villese will want to come to this side due to the fact that Tatoh's down here, and then Viper will be able to mix in... Well, Viper will... He's still in Feudal, so... I'm sorry, still in Dark Age on his way to Feudal, so he'll be completely safe with his fish boom. And I can't stress it enough, Viper's economy is so far ahead because of that. Now, on land, I don't see any action, so it's all water right now. Atri, thank you for gifting subs. Guys, thank you for being here. You wouldn't get the gifted sub if you weren't here supporting me in the chat, so thank you. I feel a little bit weird about it, though. Do they truly like me, or did they just do so for the benefits? I don't know. This might be what friends with benefits feels like. I don't know. I think I'm getting used. Alright, Villese will go for fish. He kills 1. Just forget about Tatoh's fire and go for fish. That's what you have to do with this meta. Well, he kills 1. I don't know if that's worth it, honestly. I think Tatoh's defended well there. If Tatoh makes it up here, and he will find Max's fish, and he will find Villese's fish. And Max is about to hit the Castle Age, and he will go for Plumed Archers. Now, I think we'll see a sling again, honestly. Villese is full stone walling. I think he'll build a market and he'll sling resources to Max. And it'll just be all about Max making those plumes. Italians and Malians, they're very good overall on Nomad, but versus Plumed Archers, they don't have that many strong options in early Castle Age. So, you know, Plumed Archers they can be countered by skirms and mangonels, but plumed archers have the mobility to run away from that, right? So this is kind of panning out to be similar to the games we've seen in the past, where Tatoh and Viper, they're ahead overall as a team, but then Max is the one to carry the Finland players. Now, in the past, when they went for this strategy, they lost all their fish. So I think it's important that Max or Villese is able to hold on to their fishing ships. Only 4 for Villese now and only 7 for Max. It's 24 for Viper. 24 fishing ships. And that's because of the great starting dock location and basically because Tatoh has been the distraction. Since Tatoh's doing so well on water, Viper, he doesn't even need to make anything on water himself. So it's hard to say that someone has been the MVP in any of these games for the secret players, because Tatoh and Viper, it's just their team strategy is more solid all around, right? Like, the strategy is for Tatoh to go full water. That's why he is top scorer. And then Viper will have a big boom, and then Viper will probably get top score later on. So what Viper could do is go for Cavalier. He's making 1 scout so he can scout what his opponent's doing. Actually, he's making 2 scouts. And he stopped the wall off. That's huge. He stopped the wall off. He has a defense upgrade, an attack upgrade, and bloodline. So he'll probably go for +2 knights. You know, I wasn't sure if Viper would be able to afford +2 knights, because it's so tough to do that on Nomad at this stage. But he can do so with that many fishing ships. Look at his food count. And he hits Castle Age, and out come the knights. So he added that additional scout just to ensure that his opponent could not wall that off. And now Viper's going to send a villager through as well. Now coinage for Tatoh. So Tatoh's stonewalling, and Tatoh will sling Viper. So no sling for Finland yet. I'm surprised. I still think Villese might go for it now. Max, he has 6 military, and that's 5 plumed archers. So it's really not a lot. Viper's getting chain barding before receiving any sling, and the knights are already incoming. So siege workshop and the knights. Villese is in trouble. So when I mentioned that Malians didn't have the options to counter the plumes, I was saying that assuming Viper wouldn't be able to afford the +2 knight spam. Because you only have 30 villagers now, so normally if you're around 7 or 8 fishing ships, you just can't afford to do it. But Viper, he has 24 fishing ships, and Tatoh, he's the buffer here. He's protecting him. So, you know, unless Villese gets down here and changes that with a bunch of fishing ship kills, I think he's in big trouble. And Max, he can't push forward and do damage to Tatoh. He can't really damage Viper. If he wants to address this, he can't because there's siege. So this is just the perfect storm for Viper. Mintberry Crunch says, do they realize their new team name is a woman's deodorant? I don't know. You'll have to ask them. That's funny, though. Man, Villese is so far behind now. It's the fish, guys. Look at the fish. That market is only going up so Villese can sling. 100%. He quick walls his villagers in, but he's taking losses regardless. He got fletching, so his TC will be able to do something against the knights, but even that won't be much. Knights have +2 defense. And Viper, he can send knights in to kill these villagers going after his battering ram. Safe to say that if Max doesn't do something soon, this game's over. Wow, that quick wall from Villese was pretty sick, though, to save his vills. I thought all those vills were going to die, but he quick walled that, and now he can go back to his base. Man, this is making me hungry for some salmon. All Viper's fish. Let's get some exclamation mark salmon spams going in the chat, Kappa. Yeah, I don't think... There are sometimes situations where I can see ways back for teams. But, you know, Max is going to petard through here. That's cool. But with 3 plumed archers, he won't kill... Well... No. Was that quick wall nuts or what? Tatoh will actually wall this off. He'll take villager losses, but as long as he doesn't die like Villese's, he's fine. That was an insane quick wall. But even still, I was going to say, okay, the petard just butts that down. Even still, I don't think it really matters all that much. Like, Tatoh can still keep his eco alive if Viper sends a few knights over, right? So Tato's taking losses. It's all about Max and Viper. Villese will lose his TC at this rate, and Max is coming over with a few monks and plumes. So if he gets 2 conversions and he masses enough plumed archers, gets ballistics and thumb ring, then maybe, we'll see. But he's not at that point yet, Max. And he doesn't really have a guy to sling him, which is the problem. Viper, he kills the monk. And he'll kill Villese's TC. At least I believe so. Villese is fighting with Vils. Viper takes a good engagement here versus the plumed archers. Viper loses a knight to that monk. Villese kills the battering rams. He hops back in the TC. Should probably send the monk in there as well. He's barely staying alive. Tatoh, meanwhile, so let's compare Vil counts. Tatoh's at 28, so he doesn't have that much going for him. And here come the knights from Viper, and yeah, I guess this will be cleaned up. So it's still a very good situation for, I keep wanting to say the tyrants. So, the secret tyrants is what we'll say. Viper doesn't really need to continue to push against Villese either. Whoa! Where was that? I heard a demo. I heard a demo. Viper has 23 fishing ships still. So I think if he just focuses on economy, keeps their map control, he can eventually go towards him, go for the Farimba Cavalier. Felix, this is long, but I'm going to read it. He says, I don't know you personally, so I can't say I like you, but I honestly say I have a great sense of appreciation for you watching this game truly enjoyable. Watching the players' streams is a bit stressful since they're so fast, and also as a less skilled player, I often feel a bit lost. You're informative, entertaining, and have a positive community amongst which I made a friend, E. Burke. That's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. Yeah, you guys don't know me in real life. I understand that. I'm pretty much myself on stream, but yeah, I get that. But as far as appreciating my content and bringing the community together, I appreciate that, man. It's why I do it. Like, it's not just to stream Age of Empires 2, but it's because I want to affect people positively. I want people to have a good time. That's what creating content's all about. Even if I was doing another game, that would be the main reason I'd be doing it, is because I want people to enjoy their lives, meet new people, make friends, all that good stuff, so. Yeah, some of you know me IRL because I've met you in real life, or because you're stalking me like Vine Smash is. So I think Max now, I mean, he does have a ranged unit that when snowballed can be quite strong. So, okay, he clicks up to the Imperial Age. Viper might do the same soon, though. Yeah, Viper will do so. He's actually just missing a building, I think. No, he's not missing a building. He's clicked up. Maybe if Max gets a few conversions, because he has 5 monks, so 5 conversions. He'll have a big power spike when getting Bracer and Chemistry. Again, this is assuming he can afford all of this. Yeah, I just think Viper, he's in a much better position economically. That's what I keep going back to, right? Because he has 80 villagers, he has 21 fishing ships, and Tato's slinging him with more. So, quick maths tell you that Viper's going to be way ahead here in eco, and thus he can get upgrades and just overwhelm what Max has. And also, Viper has more mobility. So the first upgrades Viper will go for is Cavalier, and then he'll go for the Plate Barding Armor. So it's the final armor on his knights. But then he'll go for Farimba. And Farimba gives him eventually +7 attack on these knights. Actually, Viper's going into longswords. Oh, what? Maybe he expects Eagle Warriors. It's kind of weird. I think he needs to continue making the knights. I guess Malian infantry, they have pierce armor, so they're better versus archers. They're called champ scarls. But why not continue Cavalier? Maybe he expects the halb switch from his opponent. Personally, I would have committed to more Cavalier. I mean, listen to me, guys, acting like I know better than the Viper. But I would have continued with more Cavalier. And then maybe switch in the champs once you see halbs. But alright. Bracer coming in for Max now. He is going to sit in the gate. And Viper, he needs to leave this fight, I think. 5 conversions. Bracer will complete in a moment. Not bad in the end. I guess Viper has so many resources he can replenish his forces now. He's buying himself some time, right? That's as good a fight as Max will get. That's as bad a fight as Viper can take as he builds a second castle here. And two-handed swordsman on the way. Look at the pierce armor on these units. It's nuts. That's why they call them champ scarls. And oh, he's through the gate as well. Not that it would have mattered all that much, because I'm sure Viper will batter his way through. But yeah, guys, Viper will get full sling from Tatoh. Tatoh, yep, just sending everything he has to Viper right now. It is Max versus Viper yet again. Max has his second castle up. He will go for his third. And again, for me, I think if you would have gone Cavalier to start with Farimba, he would have had more pressure here at the moment. But anyway, he's getting champion. Max is holding on though. Max is holding on. Max has 90 villagers. Viper has 90 villagers. Max just doesn't have the fish. This is giving Villese some time. Look at that. Villese is repairing his ally's castle. Give Villese some time to... Well, he's not really adding much eco, and neither is Tatoh, so it's just one villager at a time. I haven't seen the Champ Scarls face off against the Elite Plumed Archers much, so I'd like to see this. I assume that Thumbring has already been completed for Max. Yeah, I mean... If Viper mixes in Siege, it's a different story. But I think he switched in... I mean, they still have a big lead here, for sure. But I think it's possible he switched into this too early. It's still Elite Plumed Archer. Whereas Cavalier, if you would have... Instead of making the 20 longswords, if you would have made more Cavalier and just got Farimba, I think he would have taken a better fight. But let's see. This makes the game interesting. 3 castles for Viper. He is a very good forward position. He's getting the final defense upgrade now, which he didn't have in these fights. Can Max push this? It's a fortified position for Viper. He has lots of castles. Here come the Trebs now for Max. It's now or never, really. You have to stop Viper from teching into Siege to accompany this. Now, Tatoh is ahead of his ally, right? So Tato's going to Castle Age. With Castle Age upgrade, he might just do a Castle Age Sling, in all honesty. But he could also add more TCs. So eventually, if Max doesn't push, Viper and Tatoh will overwhelm due to their stronger eco. Plumed Archers are going towards Viper's economy. Now, Viper could go for his unique tech. I don't know how to pronounce it. Hold on, I have to watch this fight first. Because the one thing that's a great counter versus the Plumes is the Siege Ram. The Siege Ram are just a meat shield you need so you can close in. Not a bad choice from Viper. And now we get to see these guys with the higher pierce armor. The final defense upgrade. So now the Plumes need to two-shot the champs, which is pretty ridiculous. And yeah, I thought Viper would still get away with it. He kills the trebuchets. He's now pressuring this castle, so it's still looking very good for them. What's that unique tech called again? It's Tigui. Town centers fire 5 extra arrows even when empty. So I was thinking maybe he researches that if he wants to deal with the Plumes raiding next to his TCs. But, oh, we can now add condos! Oh, I forgot about the condos. That's such a smart addition here. Condos are an Italian team bonus. Only available because Tatoh is Italian. It's a really unique situation we have here. Max keeps his castle up. Viper has to run away with his Treb. He'll lose this Treb. What? What? Kill it! Kill it! He's got it. There we go. I thought for a second he was going to let that live. Max is raiding with Plumes here, but the condos will clean him up. Condos are a bit faster. But they benefit from the high Malian Pierce, which is a beautiful thing. Yeah, they do. They do, Yoshi. They do. It's funny, I said that just as you mentioned it. So there's the Pierce. All Max needs to do is keep his plume numbers up and push the castles and buildings. And now Viper needs to go onager to hold this. Tatoh has 53 vills. Villese is only 3 villagers behind, but Tatoh's adding TCs, whereas Villese is still in feudal. So, in theory, Tatoh should be slinging more resources to Viper, but Viper is losing a lot of his control. He's at 148 population. It is all max for Finland now. Can you sense the hype in my voice? I'm so pumped. Here comes Onager. Plumed archers can micro down Onagers if you see them. And the first shot went off. Max didn't see it, and now he needs to run back a little bit. These plumes will get cleaned up, but I think Viper will lose his castle. And Max micro! Here we go! There's one split, there's 2 splits, and he'll kill the Onagers. He'll kill the Onagers. And that's some sick micro from the Max. Insane play from Finland right now. It's all Max, though, of course. Look at the score for Villese. He took so many losses earlier to Viper. I question Viper's decision to go straight into the champions. Now, if he can research, if he can get some onager shots, of course, I think he'll still be able to hold. But the champions, not good enough for these plumed archers. And Max is doing everything right. What he really needs is a castle forward. If he could hold this position, just build a castle, then he can continue to push from beneath that. 3 onagers for Viper, and more onagers will continue, I'm sure. And Tato's sending him all the gold he gets. So we might see the siege onager click soon. Regardless of the result of this game, both teams have played really well. Both teams have played really, really well. And Max has had his own onager, actually. So he splits up his armies now. He's sending plumes. You know, Viper's running out of wood, which is interesting. He has to come this way for wood. Max picks off one of Viper's onagers. He's also killing a bunch of Viper's villagers and making Viper chase. And now Viper's... See, I'm not a fool. Now Viper's going Cavalier. Okay. But he doesn't have much gold, so he needs to get it from Tatoh. He messed up the order. He messed up the order. I think he should have gone Cavalier to start, and he wouldn't be in this position, but... Cavalier's still strong here. Much better against plumes than the champions would be. Viper attacking the lumber camp with Max. And will he lose the Treb because of that? He will. So that's unfortunate. But here Viper gets an onager shot. That's good. Max, he's at risk of overextending here. You see how his Trebs are separated from his main army of plumes. He lost his plumes in Viper's base. So that's one risk when you try and be too aggressive, is your army gets split up, and now he's outnumbered big time. Now he's outnumbered big time. And this is where Viper can kill the Trebs, and this stops the push from Max entirely. And that's huge. Now, Max is pushing down here against Tatoh. Tato's just defending with towers. But I think this is the more important side. Now, the Finland players are walled up, by the way, so... Condos and Cavalier, they can't really get into Max's base. Viper has to come save Tatoh. Max has so much map control. He has 5 castles, 2 in the south, 3 in the north. He lost his Trebs. Both players microing. Another castle's going up. And I imagine the castle will go up, regardless of what happens here. Viper just finished Farimba, right? Yep, Farimba Cavalier. He's has the gold to create them at the moment, but Tatoh, he needs to sling some more. Okay, Tato's going to Imp instead. And where will Viper go with this Cavalier? We'll keep an eye on those. I mean, Tatoh has stone here he can sling. That's not really important to Viper. It's really the gold, and there's some here. Viper also has a little bit of gold left in his base. Now... that's what we'll need to start focusing on as the game goes on. Where are their golds? Remember these 2 golds here. That'll be big. Yeah, Viper comes to this side, and this is where it gets tough for Max because he doesn't have the population space to mix in Halbs in front. And if he does, Malians, they have so many counters to Halbs. So, ideally, I think with the sling situation, Max would have pushed in further. Viper and Tatoh just needed to hold because Tato's so much. He's so much ahead of Villese comparatively. So the Siege Ram now will take out these towers. Tatoh could lose some of his map control, but here comes Viper to assist. And Max is gearing up for a push back at Viper, so even Viper needs to pay attention to his population. And he doesn't want to send too much to Tatoh, because if he sends an unnecessary amount to Tatoh, he could lose his own base. What will Tatoh do in Imp? Just skirms? Yeah, just elite skirm. That makes sense. And Tatoh, he could have done that in Castle Age, but it's much stronger in the Imperial Age because you can get that Bracer upgrade. That's his MTC. That's hilarious, but he'll keep his MTC up, just barely. That was his MTC. Woo! Yeah, he builds a castle now, Tatoh. He's getting his upgrades. It's looking much better for Viper and Tatoh now. Like, now it's almost shifted to Finland having to hold till Villese gets to Imp. That's what it's shifted to. Like, Max no longer has to push to finish off this game. He has to hold to finish off this game. And if he gets his castle up, that will help. And is it 95, 96, 97, 98%? He'll get it up. He'll get it up. Whether or not it will stay up is a different story. A lot of the plumes from Max are going to the south side, while Viper is pushing the north. Now there's two castles here. There's quite a few onagers. It's important the onagers are used against the rams. Max is, as I said, trying to calculate this. Can he hold on one side and push on the other? It's really tough because it's all him right now. It's all him. He has 300 kills, whereas his ally has 34 kills, and that's probably just like TCs and stuff that he's used to kill. No real military. Actually, a lot of those kills would have been on water earlier, I guess. So Tatoh and Viper need to hold on this side and push on this side, and it's the opposite for the other team. And Imperial for Villese with this TC. No, why that TC, man? He chose the wrong TC to go up to Imp with. Can they hold? If Max loses these 3 castles, it's game over. If Villese loses the TC there, it's possibly game over as well. They are holding successfully. It's not pretty, but they are holding, and they're building another castle at Tatoh's base. So Tatoh has bombard cannons. That will be a huge help here, but this game is so close. What a game we have here. This is a legendary match. I love games like this. Max has to repair his castle soon after building it. Viper, he's probably not comfortable pushing here because of the amount of monks that Villese has and the plumed archers that Max has. On this side, Viper's still spamming units in, but he's not pushing any longer. You know, if Max wanted to, I guess he shouldn't cut the trees here, right? Because if he cuts the trees, then he'll let Viper in another way, but he could possibly range that. Let's see. 8 range on that onager, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's tough because of the diagonal. Maybe. I think he's already hit it once because it's on fire, right? So I think it's just at 8 range. There's a pause now, so this is giving us time to look at where players are getting resources. So this is an intentional pause for the casters. We asked the players to pause at 54 minutes and 24 seconds if we got there, and they did. Nice guys. I don't know how they could pay attention to that. There's gold there for Tatoh. There's a gold here for Viper. There's another one around here, right? I think there's 3 golds on this side. Yeah, there's one for Tatoh. So they have some gold. They're running out, though. Max and Villese, they have more, right? 2 piles here. Assuming if they finish a push off here, they could take all this gold and all of Tatoh's resources. There's stones for Max. There's stones for Villese. And then up here, there's those 2 golds, and there might be more down here as well. Let's take a look at resources they've collected while we have the time. So 16k. Wow, how even is that? Okay, the game has just started, but isn't that crazy? Look at the gold. so even. The game has resumed. And Tatoh and Villese's population is fairly close now. There's a big difference for a while. Villese is about to hit Imp, and Villese is Malians as well. So if he gets the res, he could mix in his own Cavalier, which, I mean, on this side would be devastating to Tatoh, because Tatoh's full skirm. Tatoh then could mix in some Genoese crossbow to counter that, so it's very difficult to judge, isn't it? Max with his plumed archer and sheep attack here, not going to have enough for his Viper's Cavalier. Unfortunately, he did not get his attack upgrades on his sheep, so he'll lose that fight and he'll have to pull back. Tatoh sees the monks, he tries to pick them off, he gets a few. And Tatoh will also kill a trebuchet. So that's a good engagement for Tatoh. And on this side, I guess this is right when they paused. On this side, Viper is spamming everything he can. He's going in with the light cav. He wants to build a forward castle here, so he obviously assumes he will win this fight, right? Villese is going into only monks, and Viper has so many light cav. I don't know about that, but I don't even know about Viper's castle here. Viper doesn't have a lot of gold units, so he's just dying to plumes. But I guess if he spams enough of them, right? The plumes can attack his villagers, the castle goes up, and then the plumes need to run back. And Max wants to build his own castle here. He only has 3 villagers building it. Crazy KD for Max at this point in time. Tatoh and Viper are pushing back Max on this side, though. And I feel like Monks is not going to cut it. I think your own Cavalier is the only choice if you're Villese. It's so hard to utilize Monks when Tatoh will focus them down with skirms. As you can see, he's doing crazy stuff. And also, of course, Monks you have to click, while Cavalier you can just patrol. So Viper has kept these trebuchets alive. I remember focusing on this Onager. It died somehow. Max cannot build this castle. He has the stone to repair this one. Villese is actually repairing. Villese, he also has the stone. And Viper's building an additional castle. It's just castles on castles on castles now. This is Nomad. Map control so huge. A Tyrant with about 60% of the map now. And Tatoh also castling this hill. So, in my opinion, the score is deceiving because Tatoh and Viper have way more population. They have way more map control. It's possibly just because of the military numbers of Max and how dominant he has been on the front. This is an insane game, an insane display of kill and also skill from both teams. And now Viper's getting coinage, so he can send Tatoh some resources to do something other than skirms, most likely. And this is when Villese is getting his upgrades to go Cavalier. This is nuts. This is just nuts. Viper loses his castle. He's still attacking with these trebs. He's still spamming units. What a game. This is game of the day for sure. I don't care what else we see today. This is epic. It's just obvious to me, though, that Viper's spam, he might not have the best KD, but it's enough. It's enough to hold the front. And Tatoh on the other side, he's pushing here too. Max can't do it all alone. I was saying for a while that Tatoh was so far ahead of Villese, he'd be able to get into the game before Villese, and that's exactly what happened, and the Finland players are trying to make their way back now. The Cavalier are being made, well, on both sides, actually, so Villese will try and spread the love. I mean, right when a player loses a castle, they rebuild a castle, and now Viper's about to lose this one if he can't engage this. And I don't think he can engage this. He can only engage it if he continues to spam, which is just incredible. He has 4 trebuchets attacking Max's castle, while Max has 3 trebuchets attacking his castle, all on the same part of the screen. This is nuts. Tatoh has bombard cannons, hand cannons, skirmishers, trebs. He's pushing the Finland players out of this corner. Max is building an additional castle to just try and hold. Oh my god, this is unreal. Max loses his castle. Viper repairing his castle. Viper will likely lose his unless he kills the trebs from Max. Villese is getting conversions. Tatoh getting guard tower now to continue to push on the other side. And Tatoh's population is higher than Viper's now. And that's worth pointing out. Will Viper run out of steam here? And then will Tatoh have to carry? Because it kind of seems like that's happening. It's hard to judge because it looks like Viper doesn't have a lot of res, when in reality he's just queuing up units. But, you know, while he's killed 2 trebuchets from Max, I think it's safe to say that this is tough to call. I mean, Viper, he's repaired his castle, but he's losing his trebs now, so he'll pack these up. Max is repairing his trebs. It's just become a treb war now. And the Cavalier engaged for Villese on this side and killed the trebs and also a bombard cannon or two. So, does Villese have Farimba yet? He does not have Farimba. Does he even have a castle? He does not. So no Farimba is a big deal. He won't get that extra attack. The total team populations are almost dead even. 120 for Villese, 180 for Max, 150 for Viper, 160 for Tatoh. Still a slight edge to the former Tyrant players, currently Secret players. And Max, he's building castles everywhere you look. So, the complicated thing when you're playing against Tatoh civilization is you can't really commit to Cavalier because the Genoese crossbow. So I think if Tatoh mixes them in, Villese will run out of options. Like, I'm surprised that Finland haven't lost yet because Tatoh was an imp. It is just goes to show you how strong Max has been. If Tyrant lose this game, I think they'll look back to the early Imperial Age window they had with Viper. I think Viper went into the champions too early. That's just a theory I have. Viper is sending some units over to Tato's side now, and they are continuing to push against Max and Villese there. You only have 200 population, so if you have, again, as I've said, if you have too much military on one side, you could lose the other. As if this game was not already complicated enough, being only 200 population makes it even more difficult. Yeah, Max has had full upgrades, Arbortap. He's had them for a while. Viper at least will stall for a while here. He's now mixing in his own bombard cannons, so he must be careful though, because Villese will kill his bombard cannons with the light cav here, and Max could use his castle. And Villese can also convert the bombard cannons. Malians get redemption, right? He's converted the champions. I think Malians get redemption. The Viper loses one bombard cannon. He will lose two. And Tatoh has sent skirms to this side to help out. And Viper has lost almost all of his bombard cannons, but he has killed the trebs to stall this. The Viper sending light cav over, and yeah, it's weird, you know? Like, Viper, he hasn't necessarily lost space. I think that's the important thing for his team. Max and Villese are losing space, but Villese needs to contribute something more. I don't know if he has the res to do anything but light cav. Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't have the res, and they're losing these resources in the south, which is so important. So great pop distribution from Viper, because he has just enough to hold on that side. Just enough to hold here, and then they're still pushing in the south. And then they can get the gold and the stone back, but more importantly, take that away from their opponents. And yes, these two golds could be game-changing. Tatoh will build a castle there. Max might try and mix in trebs to take it down, but just look at the military that the secret players have. This is as good as it gets for Nomad 2v2. This is as good as it gets. Hator says, why no trade? Well, that's the complicated thing on Nomad. You can't trade. You really can't, because of how inefficient it'll be. Not to mention the distance won't be as long. Not to mention that there's still gold out on the map to fight over. So very rarely do you see Nomad 2v2s that'll go into trade. But this might be one of those games. Because the engagement, again, is not too bad for Finland's. And Viper's still losing bombard cannons here. Villese has been getting some excellent conversions. Max has been getting some excellent snipes. He's been keeping his castles up, but this side is the problem for them. They have to stop Viper and Tatoh from pushing in on this side, and I don't know if they can stop Italians. Because with Genoese crossbow, hand cannon, and elite skirm, that counters everything that the Finland players have. That's the difference. Also, the difference being that Villese cannot get Farimba because he doesn't have a castle, so without that, his light cav and his cavalier will not be as strong as what Viper can do. So trade cogs, in theory, sounds like a good idea, but it's not a great idea when players have so many fires out and about. Here's some trade. Okay, so they're actually trading now. They're trading in this corner. So they've just begun trade. Now, what about the Tyrants? Have they? Okay, Tyrants are about to do so as well. So trade cogs just aren't really ideal in expert play. I could talk more about that after this game finishes. You rarely see trade cogs in expert play. In fact, I can only recall one time I've ever seen that. And there's a lot of reasons for it, but we will see trade carts now. Population looking very good for Viper once again. 160 population, which is more than enough, I think, considering that Max has to have population in the south. And in normal games like Arabia, you fight for corners for trade. The same thing goes here now. The same thing goes. This is an excellent area to trade for Tyrant, though I will say this makes it complicated. This corner to this corner is excellent for Finland, but can they hold there? I just don't think so. It's just a matter of time till they lose that. And then they have to reposition markets, and then they get less trade per trip, and it just snowballs from there. And Mandrews, they can't afford water control, because if you put resources, what little resources you have, into water control, you lose the game. Right? You lose on land. So they're already losing on lands now. I think Finland's in trouble. They definitely couldn't afford to go water. What a game, though. It really just came down to Tatoh coming back into the game, I think. Assuming the Tyrant players or the secret players will finish this off over the next couple minutes here, I think that's what it came down to. And it came down to Viper holding on his side as well, not necessarily pushing. And yep, there's a GG. There's a GG. So so often, I mean, that was a crazy game, man. I have so much I want to say about that. Viper and Tatoh now go to the grand finals. Max and Villese, they go down to the losers bracket. They can win the losers bracket final and then go back up to the grand final. So this was not even the grand final. We'll see more games.
Thanks for the good times while I'm working.
Rocket, you are welcome, man. Welcome back for 4 months. So there's a lot I want to talk about, especially because that's the last game. So it's very difficult to recognize this, and I only recognize it because I've spent like years of my life in this game. So I'll try and explain it to you guys. So a lot of you were asking why are they not doing this? Why are they not adding water control? Why are they not doing X, Y, and Z? A lot of it comes down to if you try and transition into something when it's a 50-50 fight, during that transition, you will lack numbers of your current army comp, and then you'll get pushed back, right? So transitioning takes time, and in that time, you'll oftentimes lose numbers in the front. And also water control. Like, let's say Max would have had 20 population on water. It wouldn't have contributed all that much. And then he would have had 20 less population on land. So I think if it was a 300 pop game, then maybe players could justify transitioning a little bit earlier, or possibly justify switching up their comps and going on water more often. But these players, they play it to the limit. And when you're talking about the best of the very best, it comes down to inches. It comes down to seconds. And, thinking back, the difference was that Tatoh could get back into the game before Villese really could. Maybe if Max would have pushed stronger, let's say he would have pushed to here and taken out these barracks and stables and castles, I think then Viper would have died. So Viper didn't do the best job. It wasn't the most convincing hold from him, in my opinion, at the start of Imperial Age. Possibly because they had a big score lead then, he was a bit overconfident. I'm not sure, but I think Cavalier would have been the best move to start. But they could have lost the game right there. But then after they didn't lose the game, it was about getting Tatoh back into it, because he was always going to be ahead of Villese in economy. And when it happened, that's when the game slowly started to be lost for Finland. Great game, though. Great game. Kakarot says, great game and sort of good to see Viper is human after all. I think not going Cav straight away, let the other team back into it. Yeah. Yes, possibly. But I can understand the reasoning, because the high Pierce armor on the champions, and also because these are no ordinary champions. They have incredible Pierce armor. And also, he might have expected Halb Plumed Archer from Max. And if he expected Halb Plumed Archer, then the champion made more sense. But there was no Halb for Max. So it's easy for us to say from a bird's eye point of view. Also, I think his logic was we have more resources, we have more economy, and we can afford to take fights that aren't the best with KD, but we could still spam and get that map control. Yeah, that's a great game. That's as good as it gets for Nomad. I'm very happy I got to cast that one. And I'm also happy I had a general grasp of what was going on as well. I think I did a good job. It ends up being a normal game later on for me, but the start is complicated in Nomad. You see a lot more slinging. It's a lot messier. It's a lot more focus on the fish than any other map. And there's the KD for you. Or I shouldn't say any other map, but any other map we normally cast. 806 units killed for TheMax. Amazing KD. It was really all down to him. Viper and Tatoh as a team were just stronger. Look at the resources he collected, man. That's crazy. There's the technology stats for you as well. Like, something that comes to mind, I didn't get to see the chat the entire time as I was casting the game, but Eagle Warriors, for example. Max has great Eagle Warriors, right? So one could say, why didn't Max add Eagle Warriors? Well, to get all the infantry defense upgrades, that's close to like 1,000 food and 1,000 gold. Then to upgrade all the way to Elite Eagle, that's well over 1,000 food. Well, it's around 1,000 food and well over 1,000 gold. And then to make the Eagles themselves, that's thousands of gold. And if Max would have tried to add Eagles on Tato's side, for example, then they would have just lost because he wouldn't have had the res to do what he did on the other sides. And plus, it would have been tough because, as Praz says, the Eagles would have died to the champions if Viper added them to that left-hand side, and even the Cavalier would trade well versus the Eagles. So it's so damn complicated, right? But it's beautiful that these guys can follow all of that and play it out. I'm at the point now where I can understand most of what's going on. I've reached that level as a player. I understand what the transitions are and why the decisions are being made. But to be able to do it is just a completely different story. So not only do these guys have the knowledge, but they have the skill. And so I love watching them play. Like, that's a game that I could talk about for another hour. I could go back to the game. We could pause at certain points and we could talk about specifics. Like, that's why Age of Empires will never die, because it's so beautiful as a game. It truly is. There's no game as beautiful, in my heavily biased opinion. Okay, so I'm going to continue to cast here, and let's move on. We have Tim playing a game versus Mr. Yo, so we have two of the best Chinese players in